school, so that's a whole different thing. And then the other thing about it would be, if they are in the hallway, then there's gonna be that opportunity, because what we're looking for is something that's convenient and that we don't have to worry about supervision. So cubbies should be in the classroom at that 7 level, but you can't always have them in the classroom. When I was a classroom teacher, my cubbies were not in the classroom. I didn't get a 7, I got a 6. Okay, I can live with that, because there was nothing that I could do about that. My bathrooms weren't in my classroom. Okay, well, I can't move the bathrooms, but I can do good things for children. It's okay. So we have to think about these things, you know, in a real life way. Room arrangement for play is the next one that we're talking about. This is a couple of different things. One thing is supervision. So in the ECERS tool, there's a little bit of language that talks about how teachers move around to supervise difficult spaces. So they can have an L-shaped room or some different things like that that might be problematic. But if teachers are moving around those spaces and they're paying attention to what's going on, then they usually can do just fine with that. It's going to be, if they don't do that, then you might have some supervision issues and they might have an opportunity to grow there. The other piece under room arrangement that we look at is that separation of quiet and active centers. So, you know, is your book area right next to dramatic play or blocks. When we're talking about separation, we're talking about physical separation, not just by the shelving unit. So just having the bookshelf there and then blocks is over here, that's not enough to cut down on the noise that comes from those noisy centers. So room arrangement is kind of a big deal at that indicator.
Does the cozy area, is that considered a quiet center? So it has to be separated. I'm not talking about library, because some people have them both. Other sites have a library and then they have their cozy. They both have to be away from those, okay, just want to make sure.
Quiet.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we run into with deciding whether things are cozy or are quiet or noisy might be headphones. So are you using headphones? If you use headphones, is that quiet or noisy then?
Okay.
It's quiet if you use headphones, but if you don't, so say you put your listening center in your book area, but you don't offer headphones. It's no longer a quiet area because you put that listening center in there and there aren't headphones. So if someone listens to something, then it's not quiet anymore. So the use of headphones can make a difference. It can make a difference on your computers. Okay. So you could put your computers on the noisy side or the quiet side. Whether you provide headphones is going to make the difference to whether that's appropriate or not.
I just had a program that had their listening center with headphones, they had the computers in the middle, and then they had their library area. And I was out with another, out with a coach, and she said, I didn't even see that. I said, well, it wasn't a problem until the children used the computers, and then their game is sounding off, and the game's sounding off. And they're
So if they had headphones on both of those, then it could have.
So she had to make that decision. So that was an easy fix for the program. But, so just have awareness of quiet and active.
Decisions they can make, yes.
So they need a cozy area and a library,
No,
or they can be
just
one?
It can be one.
Programs that have limitations with space, we often see them together, and that's okay. But there just has to be that awareness that if a child is intent to use a cozy, a space by themselves, isn't the same time that the group of girls decides that they're going to go in and all read books. And then it's not necessarily quiet and active, depends how that library area is then used, so.
And that's the biggest thing, is sometimes the book area has 4 children, but the cozy area has 1. And so if you're wanting to use the book area as a cozy space and 4 kids are reading in there, then what? So, but you don't have to have both, you just have to be intentional about how you use it. All right, child-related display. That's our next one. So they're talking about much of the display closely relates to the current activities of children in the group. This is another indicator that has 2 parts. So the first part is saying about 30%, at least 30% of the materials should relate to topics that are recent, so within the last month. So when I look around the room, I can tell, oh, it looks like they're studying maybe the planets, or oh, it looks like maybe it's dinosaurs. I can have some, I can kind of tell. But sometimes when you walk in, you really can't tell what they're learning about. And then the second part is that the children themselves are represented in the display some way. And there are lots of different ways this can happen. So you can have photos of the children. You could have height charts that they are actually using. You see a lot of height charts with nothing on them, so that's okay for written numbers, but doesn't really relate to the children. So let's make sure we're using those. We see a lot of self-portraits, charts that are done with the children's input, all of those kinds of things that show the children that it's their room and they're involved in the things that are going on in there. So pay attention to both parts of that. And then display work done by the children. So we're looking to see eye level for a lot of it. So keeping in mind the ages of the children that are in the different classrooms. If you have a lot of little 3-year-olds, then you might want to think about where you're displaying things. And then 3D artwork. So things that you can build up and out with. Okay? If you glue something to a surface, then you take away that third dimension. So then it's no longer 3-dimensional. Okay? And that's the biggest thing that we see is people are not aware of that particular piece.
So if you had a structure, like a building with plates or something, and you put it on a paper to mount it, that takes it away?
If you mount it on the paper, but so if there's a clay sculpture and I can go and pick that sculpture up and I can look at all sides of it, then it's 3-dimensional.
Okay.
So, does that make sense?
I had people that took they did toilet paper, or not toilet paper, paper towel roll butterflies, but then, and if they had left them sitting, it would have been 3D, but they put them on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's usually
that
what I see.
becomes, yeah, okay.
Took away their dimension.
Right, took away.
But if they hung them, that'd be
Hung them,
great.
that would be different, right?
Yep.
So sometimes, and that's at that higher level, so it is asking you to be intentional. Sprinkle those sprinkles on that cake. Okay, so our next one is space for gross motor play. Usually outside is a problematic area for almost everybody, so just know that up front. Play spaces outside are always challenging, and depending on where your program is and who you have to deal with, if you're out of school, or there are lots of different things that you have to take into consideration. So we're looking at cushioning. So there's a whole sticker for playground information. Get those stickers on our website. So it'll tell you the things that we're looking at. Cushioning is one of them. I think the biggest thing we've seen lately with cushioning is that a lot of people have sand and don't realize that sand only cushions a 4-foot fall. And so if you have equipment higher than 4 feet, that sand is your cushioning, then you will not meet that requirement.
We realize too that playgrounds are a lot out of teachers' control.
Right.
So this one, you hate to say it is what it is. We really hope that the teachers are focusing more on their interactions, so the supervision of gross motor play and not the holy huddles and interacting with the children and using that portable equipment.
Right.
I've seen a lot of empty play structures. The kids don't care. They slide up, down, up, down. Okay, I'm done with that. But you give them the balls, you interact with them, you have the hold the hoop, throw the ball through. They're more engaged with that than up, down, slide. Just what I've been observing lately.
And it's also a recommendation if people are asking you about playgrounds. The other thing they can do is they can call us and they can ask us to consult with them before they have their playground installed if they're doing a new playground. And Linda and I are CPSIs, so we can also do playground audits. So we can do those things. But yeah, it's really.
So if you have climbing equipment that's on a cushion surface that meets the specifications, but it still needs to be the exit, so whether you're talking off the top of the climbing structure or off the end of the slide needs to be 6 feet out from that piece of equipment, right?
Right, the use zone where the cushioning is 6 feet around
So I should be able to
each
draw a
piece.
6-foot circle out.
Yes.
And then if the climbing equipment, you know, it's a plastic molded piece that was, you know, bought from Walmart or whatever, and it's a certain height, how far on the top, let's say it's, you know, 4 feet high, the platform part, and on 3 sides that has walls that are 2.5, you know, holes or whatever they're sliding through. But on one side, there's nothing. Does there need to be something, a crossbar, piece of plastic or something that goes across, and if so, how high, I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of a CPSI standard that we would look at,
Mhm.
not a regular.
because it would be a pre-made thing with no,
It's like missing a side.
yeah. Well, no,
Well,
it
to me,
just-
that doesn't seem safe.
Right, so,
By
yeah.
the way you're describing it to me, in my
Right.
head, I'm like, okay, 4-piece structure missing a piece.
But is that
Well,
the
it wasn't
side that
missing
they
a piece,
climb
but
up?
it was how it was made.
Mhm.
You know, it was a preformed,
Mm.
but it's
I
4
guess we
feet
have
with
to
no,
see
in the,
what it actually
Yeah.
looked like to know.
Right.
yeah.
Right. But in general, yes, they should have, there are platform specifications that you have to meet. But we'd have to see that piece of equipment too, for sure.
Any other questions on playgrounds? Yeah.
So are you guys the people that come out and do the certified
We
playground?
can.
We can.
No,
We took the big test and we have the.
And they say we're good for 3 years,
Is that
so.
on the card?
And you're not teaching that?
No.
We teach safe playground, it's just
Right.
more for what to be aware of on the playgrounds.
Okay.
But we have come out to do certifications on the playgrounds to meet that highest level for Colorado Shines.
Colorado Shines.
And
So
again,
you
if you
do-
hit that
you
ERS
can-
scheduling, we can do that. And there's a fee attached, but it really, I don't think it's a lot,
No.
so.
Okay.
Yeah,
good to
we've
do
done
those.
quite a few of them lately.
And then you get a 20-page report. It shows,
Extensive.
it shows areas of how to help you prioritize, what do I need to really fix now, what's ongoing, and what's like, gee, really, if I got $20,000, this is what I would do. So,
Yeah.
that's how we prioritize things.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you'll develop a QIP based on that, or the program will, and that's what they can submit to Colorado Shines.
So if somebody wants one, they schedule with you
Mhm.
and get on the calendar.
Mhm.
You can
And
give them that
Pay the-
ERS, or they can contact me.
What does the scheduling time look like for that?
Well, it depends where you are.
Yeah, and our biggest thing right now is, you know,
Weather.
weather. I mean, right now the
Oh,
weather's
yeah.
been great, so, but yeah,
Mhm.
it does depend on where you
I
are.
would say we probably would have to schedule something the first part of next year. I think Connie and I are really
At this
booked through
point.
this year.
Okay.
But, you know, usually she and I have done them, especially if you're in town. If we do an observation in the morning, then swing by and do a playground, it usually takes an hour-ish. And then we write the report, and you get the report back within about a week or two.
Pretty easy to
Mhm.
schedule in. And then sometimes we do more extensive ones that, just did one that was on a large piece of land, and it was really 3 different playgrounds. But that only took about 2.5 hours, so still they're pretty quick. So we can do that.
All right.
Yeah. And then if you want to download that chart, it'll give you more information about swings and slides and all of that, but just in general, cushioning is usually the thing that throws everybody off most of the time, because it's really hard to keep 9 inches of cushioning around all your climbing equipment. So. And then the next one is gross motor equipment, where we're actually talking about the equipment. So things like checking to see if there are gaps in the slides that something could get caught in, or are there protrusions on the equipment where something could get caught, or
So can they wrap, I had an example where they had, I don't know, what your canopies for shade, and the shade, the metal bars on the shades were more than 3.5 inches in spots, because they had like a swirly, you know what I'm talking about? So is that considered a head entrapment area or not? You know what I mean, like, it was,
I don't think I'm quite
Do they-
understanding.
yeah. So it's the
so the supports, the arms on the
structure?
shade structures, there's 4, right, holding the
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, like a
The
patio
patio
canopy,
Mhm.
but it's mounted to the ground, you know, but it has legs. And the legs have bars with kind of a swirly design, you know, this far apart.
So then there's head entrapment.
And
Yeah,
for
they're
tripping
headed-
hazard.
So then I noticed it was more than 3.5 inches in spots, but it's not like, you know, it's got like a,
If it's more than 3.5 and less than 9, then yes, it is an entrapment.
so then they would need to cover it. Could they cover it?
Unless they can somehow remove those supports, it just seems odd the way it is. If you can cover it, but then you also have an issue of tripping if it's in the middle of the play space,
Yeah.
if that's how I'm hearing it.
Well, you mean the arms, the legs itself are in the middle of the play space?
Mhm.
Well, on this site, they're arranged at either end of the playground,
Okay, that might be okay,
but,
but it's still an entrapment.
Yeah, anytime they have those openings.
but if they're able to cover those
Mhm.
legs, like with lattice, or I was thinking
Mhm.
cloth, you know, or a canvas, you know, like make a sleeve,
Right.
then it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I suppose they could do that
Yeah.
to see it, but I think that would be a good fix.
Yep.
Yeah, so when we're talking about equipment, it could be swings, slides, the climbing equipment. We talked about those exit heights for slides. So depending on how high the slide is, then we look at the exit height, because when children are coming off it, are they gonna come flying down and land on their, or their feet gonna be able to land on the ground? Because sometimes those exit heights can be really high. Or if they have swings, do they have open S hooks on the swings? Do they have, you know, there are lots of different things that we see on equipment.
And what about if it's shared, so I know that if it's shared with, if the playground equipment is shared with school-age kids, but they can say to the preschoolers, you can't use this equipment, does that count as appropriate for the age group, even though it's on the playground? Even with proper supervision? So they would automatically not get it if there's school-age
Yes.
equipment there?
So even if it's not access, I mean, like they
But how do
cordoned it off.
they keep, well, see, but that's the difference. How do they keep them from accessing it? Because just saying you can't use it
Oh, no,
is
they,
not.
okay, I have a site in mind and they actually put things up that say stop and
Mhm.
at every entrance to the older children's, the school age, okay, all right.
I mean,
So we
ideally,
have about
you
20
would,
minutes, just to let you know. Yeah.
ideally, you would hope that they,
Yeah.
you would fence it off, but I've been at a school district, so I know.
Yeah.
It took
Yeah,
us
the
2 years to
All
get
my
it
school
in.
district sites run into
Yeah, I
that,
know.
because they have
It's difficult.
older stuff
Yeah,
there.
it's hard.
Yeah.
So then entrapments was the next thing, we already talked about that a little bit. They did increase the fence 1 to 4 inches, because most of the fences are 4 inches. And so that just
The
makes
slats
sense.
between fences.
Those iron bar ones are the ones that usually. And then greeting and departing is part of that indicator, so we're just looking for when parents are coming in, when kids are coming in, that they're greeted. But the biggest piece that's usually missed is when other people are coming in, say to do breaks. So I'm coming in to do your bathroom break, and I just come in, and then you leave, and the kids don't have any. And so if there's somebody new, they might not be comfortable with that, they might not know who to go to. So just paying attention to that greeting piece. And then we're on personal care, everybody's favorite thing.
Mhm. So personal care routine, so everyone familiar with the proper way to hand wash? The biggest thing I'm finding is programs are really excited that they get to use foam soap.
Yeah.
But have you tried washing your hands and getting a full lather for 20 seconds with just foam soap?
Really difficult.
Doesn't.
Hard to get a 20-second active bubble glove. They think it's great, but I mean, I've tried like 365, I've seen all these other kinds. I haven't really seen one that works. So I really think the best practice is the combination of the soap and the water with your 20 seconds, so. But yeah, try it. If you,
It's hard. You can't-
it is, see?
You can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Spray water. You can spray water.
Yep.
So there are lots of great ways to do it.
Yep. And in case you weren't familiar, if you go to the top of page 3, has the website, it kind of got broken up for www.healthychildcarenc. That's where you can find your hand washing posters, English and Spanish with pictures. You can also find them, I know we're not talking about that tool right now, but diaper changing procedures also.
There too.
Mhm. And I'm not so sure, but it could be tables as well.
I think so. I think everything is on there.
The other thing that's been changing is, who knew that there were so many different kinds of bleach out there?
Well, you know it now, right?
Now we have some work here.
Oh my God.
So a couple things to point out with that. There are two different things to watch for. If you are sanitizing surfaces only happen for like surfaces and meals. When do you need to disinfect? Anytime you're dealing with bodily fluids. So yes, diaper changes,
Okay,
the faucets in the bathroom between routines for toileting and meals.
right.
So that's when you have to kind of switch gears and use that disinfectant. How do you know how long to leave it on for?
You have to read.
You have to read.
You have to read.
What are you finding as you're reading the bottles?
Some of them don't give a lot of direction as to what exactly it needs to be.
Right? A lot
Some
of them have.
give a lot of
Mhm.
It
information.
depends.
Some of them, there's a bleach that, for example, is scented. It is not a disinfectant.
And you're not
It will
supposed
only
to use the
sanitize.
scented bleach anyway
Yes.
in childcare.
Okay.
A lot of the commercial products that, anybody will try to sell you because it's the newest and the greatest and will save you money, requires you to maybe wash the tables, rinse it off, put their cleaner on, let it sit, and then wipe it off. There's often a rinse step in between.
Right.
Is that really worth the teacher's time for those 20 pennies that you save to get this other product? So be educated, read your labels, teach your teachers and your directors to do the same. There, and if all else fails, go back to the 2 minutes, but read.
So if the children are helping wash down tables, I've seen like family,
Mhm.
and they have a bucket of bleach water with a rag and they,
Nope.
you know,
Because they're using that common bucket with a common cloth.
Okay.
So it should be an individual towel for each table. For soap, then an individual towel, whether it be disposable or a cloth. I've seen both used, it just depends on what the program prefers. But individual towel for each table. And it is fine that the children help. They just need to be trained by the teachers to,
so they can put their hand in the water and squeeze the,
that common bucket needs to go away.
yeah.
You
But one
spray
bucket
with
for
soap
each
and
table.
water.
No. Oh, get rid, so in a perfect scenario would be to have soap and spray with soap and water, wipe down, then bleach. let
And
the kid
whatever
do
your
that.
sanitizing is for whatever the instructions say for whatever your particular product is.
Yeah.
Right, that's basically what it's come down
So we're
to.
gonna say just no bleach buckets anymore.
No.
Right.
Please. And no sponges, all that stuff. Right, phew, that was enough on that topic.
Yeah.
So much.
We also look to see that meals meet the USDA guidelines. That too can be found on that same Healthy Childcare NC. It can be also found on the ECERS website, the meeting the guidelines for food. Nap and rest, remember the highest level. I know the state says mats are 2 feet apart. The tool asks for 3 feet apart at the highest level. Also wants to see if there's a system in place for sanitizing the cots and cleaning the sheets. No longer is it acceptable for those things to be divided, mats to be divided by a barrier. Doesn't matter how high, how wide, how thick, what it is, 3 feet, no matter what's in between. And if you can't meet it, you do your best to get at least the 2 feet, because that's the best thing going forward for children, and that's your everyday reality. Safety practices.
So it's 2 feet at the 3 level, or no, it's 3 feet at the 3?
The state says 2 feet. At the 3 level for the tool, it's 18 inches, all of them. But at the highest level, it's all mats separated by 3 feet.
Okay.
Safety practices, if it says keep out of reach, it should be kept out of reach. Medications always have to be locked.
Do keep out of reach have to be locked?
Or do they just have to be up high? Because I thought they had to be locked.
It should be in a childproof, a locking or a
The only
childproof.
thing that can't be are the sanitizing solutions, right? They
Mhm.
need to
Is your diluted solution, yes.
Okay.
But if you're using things like Oxivir and stuff, you still need to lock that away. Because that's not bleach.
It's another type of disinfectant or sanitizing cleaner, one of those professional cleaners.
And so what I see is they have their water and they have their bleach, but then they use something else for disinfecting, like Oxivir, because it's only a 1-minute contact time.
Right.
But they hang them all. You can't hang the one that says keep out.
Okay.
And it's not diluted at all like your bleach is diluted, that's why that is safe. Or,
Medications, I've had sites that have been told by
Yeah.
health, if it's like like their EpiPen, they can't lock that, they need to be able to read, I mean, this is what I'm being told, so that creates a safety hazard if they have to unlock something to get to
It
that
does.
life-saving
the long and short of it is they're with the kids all the time.
time.
So they need to do what the best practice is for that child. If
And
their
then
allergy is that severe
Mhm.
and the teacher's gotta have that EpiPen
Right.
with them, that's now like $300.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, so, but then,
They
that,
need to
if
do what's
it's,
best for the
okay.
children.
We recommend that they wear it. in the
wear it
front
rather
pack,
than,
But if that's
no,
not
that would be an
practical for
answer,
them.
if they can't lock it, they could,
Yeah.
they
Mhm.
could wear it in
Because
there.
if they got the fanny pack,
Okay,
nobody
that-
else can have access.
But the ones they take that off, if they set it down.
No, yeah, okay,
Mhm.
but
Hang it
that
on
I
the
could
post
coach
outside.
to,
Yep.
that that could be an answer to that,
Mhm.
okay. All right.
Yep.
Bringing back the fanny pack.
Yeah, really. They never really went away.
Yeah, fashion
Giant
statement.
fanny
Yeah,
pack.
That's great.
They'll be so happy.
Yeah, they're gonna love me.
Right, that's a good swag.
Okay, good.
Right.
All right, we're on to language and reasoning. So, books and pictures, we're just looking for many and varied. So, we're usually looking for 3 to 5 for each of the different pieces. It's got a good description here of what they are. If children speak a different language, including at least 2 things in their home language in the classroom, in books and in pictures, it's ideal. If you don't have any other materials up, then at least 4 books are needed. And then for books where there's the piece about the violence or things that are disturbing to children. So not that you can't use them, just to keep in mind that those are things that should be used by a teacher with children, so that you can gauge what their reaction is to those different pieces.
So what if the book itself, because we talked about Disney at one point, what if the book itself does not show images like Cinderella?
So what the children are seeing is what we're looking at. So it's the child's experience. And so they generally at that age are not reading those words. So it's the visual images that we're talking about.
Dinosaur teeth.
I think if they're ripping something else apart, and for some children,
Or
for some
blood.
children that can be disturbing, but just
So if it
showing
has those
animals'
extra pieces,
teeth.
but like a science book that's talking
Yeah, I mean,
about
it's
dinosaurs.
just showing sharp teeth and things like
Right.
that is,
Right.
is just part of the animal. It's the blood and gore piece
Right.
of it.
It's your traditional T-Rex who's got somebody in his
Right.
mouth and is,
Right,
those aren't okay,
right.
but the
That's
T-Rex,
not
with it, that's fine.
Okay.
We've come
Sharks,
across,
pirates, dinosaurs, Disney.
Yeah.
Right.
well, we've seen a lot of Dr. Seuss books
Yes.
that have, and you don't even think about it, but they're hitting somebody with a spoon, or they're pushing, I mean, we've seen a lot, I had never realized it until I
I know.
started really
I
looking
know.
at it.
And it's just to keep in mind, use those with the children so you can say things like,
Right,
oh, look, they're hopping on so-and-so. We don't really
That
hop on
one.
our friends, do
Yeah.
we? So you can have those conversations. The biggest one under language and reasoning, that is the most often missed is that 5.2 reasoning skills. So just this is really around the materials and how we're using materials with children and having those feedback loop type conversations, really asking them to get more information about their learning process and where they are as far as that concept development goes. So it's pretty clear cut in there, but it's missed a lot, so.
So, because I'm hearing from people who do pyramid, that this is, I don't know, but that's hard for them to meet some of these interaction ones because pyramid. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard that.
So maybe it's a misunderstanding on their part.
So are they saying pyramid is?
Well, the language that you use in pyramid, you know, the with the children,
Mhm,
they was told to me they weren't encouraged to explain or expand.
mhm.
You know, weren't class, I'm thinking class.
And so this one that we're talking about is more about asking children about their thought process. How did you know that that would happen, or why did you do it that way? It's really asking them for explanations, and so that you're gauging where their learning is and what they're thinking about. So it's not really us giving them information. There always is going to be some expansion, especially in the class tool. It's asking about expansion, and